All right, guys, welcome to this video. We're here with Dominic Frisby, author of Bitcoin, the Future of Money. We've been talking in this members webinar with Dominic about a whole range of subjects from Bitcoin. Very interesting webinar so far. And what I want to ask Dominic in this interview is what his thoughts are about Bitcoin going to potentially $1 million in the future, or maybe there's zero. I mean, just to mention this, Dominic, I had Peter Brandt, I think about a few weeks ago, and he said there's a 50% chance. Did he say 50% or 40%? I can't remember. I think he said there's a 40% chance that Bitcoin might be worthless, and there's about a 50 to something percent that it's potentially might go much higher. But first of all, my question to you is this: what are your thoughts about Bitcoin going to $1 million? Now, I know it's speculative, and I know everybody's got their own little answer to this, but I want to know your view about this whole Bitcoin going to $1 million is.
Well, I'm just doing a quick sum on my computer while you ask me that question. So there are 21 million Bitcoins in existence.
Right.
And so if Bitcoin went to $1 million, when Bitcoins are fully mined, there'll be 21 million. So times that 21 million by a million. You know, what is that? 21 trillion, which would be the entire value of America's debt, US national debt.
Right.
I guess it's possible. Mm-hmm. When you look at it in those terms, it's possible. But, you know, I would have thought it's unlikely. But you never know. I think if Bitcoin goes to 21 million US dollars, something's gone very badly wrong with the US dollar. It's experienced some kind of hyperinflation. And, you know, I get all the US dollar hyperinflation arguments. I've heard them a million times. And one day it'll happen. Maybe. You'll probably see in the US dollar what you've seen in the pound, which is just this grinding lower every year, losing 3, 4, 5% of its value over many years. So, you know, maybe in 100 years' time, Bitcoin will be worth $1 million or something, or in 50 years. But you know, if you're investing with a 3 to 5 year time horizon, I doubt you'll see it. Mind you, I remember when Bitcoin was $5 and Max Kaiser was going, it's going to 1,000, and I was just going, you idiot. And he was right. So, you know, maybe.
So, yeah, I mean, I see your point there, and I guess you're right.
You know, when Max said it was going to $100. When Bitcoin was 5 or 10 and Max said it was going to $100, and I just thought, oh, you're just trying to get viewers on your show, making ridiculous predictions. But he was right.
Yeah, that's right. What are your? Here's a question. I mean, okay, so Bitcoin. We'll come back to this point about Bitcoin going to $1 million. But I want to ask you, what would you say is your biggest regrets in regards Bitcoin, the whole Bitcoin situation and story? What would you say your? And I know regrets. I know it's pointless rewinding the clock, but if you could rewind the clock, if it was possible, there's one regret you have, what would you do?
Well, I would have bought more.
Bought more.
I would have bought more and stored it better.
Right. Right. What about the opposite argument? So there's an argument that's been made. Someone was arguing that, well, Bitcoin could go to zero, become worthless if there is competition. For example, let's say, I think the argument this writer was making was, and again, this is her point of view, was that if there is an alternative to Bitcoin, like for example, Facebook's Libra or JP Morgan or somebody else comes out with some alternative to Bitcoin.
They're not alternatives. Mm-hmm. You know, they're just currencies issued by banks and tech companies. They're not alternatives to Bitcoin.
Right.
You know, they're not. There's no decentralized money system on the scale of Bitcoin. It just doesn't exist. I'm not saying these companies shouldn't issue their own money, and they will inevitably in the future. And we'll have corporate money competing with government money, competing with decentralized open source money. All these money systems will compete, and the market will decide. And we'll just end up using different coins for different purposes. You know, all the libertarian purists, they all use Twitter and half of them use Facebook. So, you know, they still use you know, these corporate services. JP Morgan coin is not the same as Bitcoin, and it will never be.
Do you see any kind of case? Here's a question, I guess. Is there a case at all for Bitcoin becoming, and I hate to ask this question because I know people are gonna send me all kinds of hate mail because of it, but is there a case for Bitcoin becoming worthless or going to zero? I don't personally believe it. I don't believe that it's going to happen, but is there a case, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there could be something better could come along. There could be an international conspiracy against Bitcoin, and it could be made illegal in every country around the world, and people would lose faith in it. The blockchain could be hacked. They're all extremely unlikely situations, but they're all things that can happen. You know, somebody manages to hack the blockchain, then the system comes tumbling down. It's proved impossible to do, but you know, until Bitcoin was invented, the problem of double spending had proved impossible to overcome.
Yeah.
And there are some serious geniuses trying to bring down the Bitcoin system. They're all trying to hack it and find weaknesses in it. It's one of the reasons it's so strong, because so many people have tried to hack it, and the system has become more resilient as a result.
Yes. Tell us a bit about your book, Dominic. And by the way, I placed my own order for your book, because when I read excerpts from the book, I haven't read your entire book, but I've read excerpts and bits and pieces of your chapters, and I like that it's very easy to read. I should just let everyone know it's quite an easy read, so it's not like heavy. It's not heavy going. Tell us a bit about your book, and what can people expect to learn from your book?
Well, the Bitcoin book I wrote back in 2014, so you know the world has moved on, but it's still the best book on Bitcoin by a mile, and I tell the story better than anyone else. But the story's moved on as well, so you know it's a good book. But the one you want to buy is Daylight Robbery, and that's about the past, present, and future of taxation, and that comes out in October. And that'll be it. That's the one you want to, or pre-order your copy on Amazon.
So that's a new book you're coming out with.
Yeah, that's coming out in October. Yeah.
Could you repeat the title again?
Daylight Robbery.
Daylight Robbery by Dominic Frisby, coming out
October.
October. So you can pre-order now, can you?
On Amazon, you can. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, make sure you check that out. I'm interested to read. Can you tell me a bit more about this book, this Daylight Robbery, a little bit about it?
Well, my new theory is that tax is how you shape society. And the way a society is defined by the way it's taxed. And tax has been around for as long as civilization. There's never been a civilization without taxation. And we need to look at the world through the perspective of tax. And if we're going to change the world, we need to change the way that we're taxed. And so this is basically looking at the past, the present, and the future through this new perspective. And hopefully I've unearthed some really good stories as well.
Sounds good. Sounds interesting.